Hi, we're here today. This is Comic Books from Coast to Coast. We're hanging out with East Coast Alex and West Coast Joe. I'm Joe Leonardo.
And I'm Alex Turbin.
Today we're looking at Dark Horse Comics Conan, a classic story, The Frost Giant's Daughter by Kurt Busiek, Kerry Nord, Dave Stewart, Richard Starking.
And what year was this made?
This
was made in
is
2004. It doesn't seem like that.
2004.
Doesn't seem like that long ago, but that's 21 years ago.
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy. It's like when they talk about like stuff from the 80s and 90s, I'm like, hey, that was just a couple of years ago, whatever. But no, it's 50 years, 30 years, 40 years. So it's crazy.
Since we're both looking at one page, Alex, why don't you set your page oriented to the left?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. And go back to the open cover. Go back to the cover. Yeah. Cover.
Okay.
No.
Okay, cool. Hey,
yeah, okay.
Hey, GTO, what's up?
GTO Phase, you're here for all of them, man. We love you, bro. It's so good to see you.
Are you a Conan fan, GTO?
Well, I hope you are, bro, because we're looking at some Conan stuff today, man.
Yeah.
Turn yours to the inside cover.
All right.
There we go. Perfect. And just keep it oriented like that for the rest of the thing, you know. I mean, not on the inside cover, but as I turn my page, you turn your page, and that way we'll be perfectly aligned.
GTO, you've never heard of Conan the Barbarian?
Oh, you're in for a treat, bro.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun.
It's
Conan
old school,
the Barbarian,
best stuff.
one of the great pulp characters from the 1930s, recreated by Marvel Comics in the 1960s, brought to life in amazing feature films throughout the 80s. Also in the early 2000s, we've had at least one attempt at a feature film with Jason Momoa. Not terribly great, but still a fun movie. Conan the Barbarian, always super interesting. And right now, we're looking at one of the quintessential Conan stories. And anyone who's interested in this character is going to know about the Frost Giant's daughter.
Yeah.
What is your take on that, Alex?
It's one of it's I don't know where it is in the Robert E. Howard original stories. But it's definitely, I think it's one of the first ones. It's definitely one of the best ones in my opinion. It's kind of short and sweet though.
I think it's one of his most popular. I would say, like, along with maybe like the Tower of the Elephant.
Yeah, I think Red Nails might be the most popular.
You think so? I always feel like it's Tower of the Elephant. I think that's the most popular one.
It could be. Who's to say? I mean, how could we ever know? I mean, other than putting up a poll and, a whole bunch of people. We should probably
put up a poll one of these days to tell people, like, vote on what your favorite Conan story was.
Yeah, definitely. Actually,
because it's going to be all over the place probably, because there's so many great ones. But this is one of the very great, and we're looking at a very interesting, very modern, very non-John Buscema take on the character, and that's always unusual,
definitely,
because we're so tied into the John Buscema aesthetic.
Yeah, the black, especially the black and white, flowing lines, and this guy has flowing lines as well, but it's different. People have different flowing lines, that's for sure, with their artwork.
Yeah, he's definitely mirroring the John Buscema idea, but he's putting his own spin on it. And I also believe that this is a excuse me, this is a penciled material. I don't believe this has any inks on it.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking either it doesn't have inks, or it's just so painted. And I don't know if it's digitally painted or if it's watercolor and colored pencils. I definitely know that there's some colored pencils in there, but the texture of the paper looks like it's colored. I don't know. It's textured paper.
I mean, my guess would be that it's mostly digital, but I honestly couldn't put my finger on it, because I don't know nearly enough about the technology that's being used, or like what where it sits nowadays. But it's clearly coloring on top of his raw pencils, and they're just doing a beautiful job. Let's go ahead and turn to the next page.
Wait, we got to go back to this cover, because are you a Joseph Michael Linsner fan?
I mean, I can't say I'm like follow all the things he does, but I mean, his images can be quite striking at times.
He's his women are obviously beautiful. His I hate to say it, and it's so hard. I think we've discussed this before, but his people kind of look a lot alike. He kind of has this stock image of faces and stuff,
Well,
and
I want to say we all suffer from that one. You know what I
we
mean? Like
do, we
you
do.
know what I mean? Like your characters all look alike, my characters all look alike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do know what you mean though, because like his stylistic face
Yeah,
has a style to it already. And
right,
then when
right.
you propagate the idea of that, all the characters tend to have that same nose. And that's
Yeah,
where those kind of things come from. It's like you're always recreating the same nose and recreating the same kind of jawline often. And that's why the faces all tend to have like that one person in a bunch of different wigs kind of feel. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like,
right.
yeah.
I really, really try hard to have different noses, but I mean, so many of my characters have like the hawk nose, but so I try to get away from that. Hey Simon, what's up? Um, but it's so difficult because a face isn't just a nose. It's also, so much, different types of things going on with the jawline and the everything. So
Yeah.
you're
How you
right.
light it and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Simon
It's just
Pomeroy, that's a great name, bro. I love that. It's nice to see you.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
definitely. I mean, I think he's a very talented guy. But you know, like I would be remiss if I was like, "Oh, it's remarkable" or anything. You know, like it doesn't
See,
exactly
I
build that
think it is.
story up.
I love this image of the girl, and obviously his all of his women are just super beautiful, and I love his style. It's kind of a little bit stiff, but everybody's got a little bit of stiffness in their work. Well, I don't know, not everybody, but he's got a little bit of stiffness in his work, but it's not something that really detracts from me enjoying it. I think it's just part of his style, really. But I love his women. I mean, and his
It is. It's
painting
beautiful
skills.
work.
He's
Yeah,
got
and
his painting skills are just top notch.
you know, I love the playfulness in her face or whatever. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like, she got
yeah.
that great, glow in the eyes, just like her character does in the actual story.
Right,
So let's
right.
get over here on the next page. Go ahead and page out one. There we go. Let's get ourselves all nice and aligned here.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the story as we
Well,
go,
yeah, I mean,
or
we'll look. I mean, I think most people know the story already. You know, it's just like we gather a Conan here in the middle of this battle, and he's, fighting some dudes, and it's not quite like this in the actual novel. Like this is the writer sort of like taking some artistic merit, because in the novel, he's just you're catching him at the very end of all this. You know, what I mean, I don't
right?
think this is actually in the novel itself, or we won't call it a novel. It's a short story novel.
Short story, yeah. Yeah.
And like
I
right
don't
here,
remember the specifics actually of whether or not. I do think that I think you're right. I think it's because I'm pretty sure Howard goes into detail on the like he has certain things that he likes to kind of explore, whether it's the musculature of a person or something like that. I really feel like this was him exploring the end of a battlefield, or the end of a
yeah,
battle rather,
yeah,
and
definitely.
Conan just kind of surviving it.
I was gonna say, yeah, because like this, what they're showing here, this is like just a preface. He's battling this guy. We have some, I mean, there's really the beautiful reds on this guy's beard and just the
Yeah,
softness of all the colors, because I think that's really what they were trying to create. Because you can see them channeling, on your page, the Conan in the far left in the bottom corner.
yeah,
And when you
yeah.
look at the face, you could see how they're channeling. And even
Here,
like in mine, right here on your side, on this side,
yep,
um, he's really channeling Buscema's face of Conan.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? That is the Buscema face, and that's also very reminiscent of the Frank Frazetta, Conan.
yeah, yeah,
And they're
uh,
trying to bring that really broad face with the really broad cheeks,
yeah,
big
yeah.
pronounced chin.
Yeah, the more we're looking at it, the more I do think you're right. I do think it's digitally colored.
Oh my
But
God!
I really like this guy's art. I really like it. What's his name again? Carrie Nord. I really like it, but there's some things that I really don't like Conan's face right here. I mean, everybody has some jankies. I was reading Monster by Barry Windsor Smith, and he's got some panels where there's little kids and stuff that are just, kids are hard to draw anyway. but the fact that it's just really not that great kind of makes me feel better about my own work. So all of this overall is fantastic, but this one little face of Conan's not really loving it.
Well, I won't criticize any of this stuff, man. It's pretty beautiful, but everybody's got their little weaknesses. But I just want to take a quick moment to say a shout out to Daniel Goodwin, who
Hey,
is
Daniel.
Doghouse on Instagram, and he is an amazing underground artist. He has an amazing independent comic book that he creates called Sundays in Space. And
Huh.
we're going to be covering it here in the not too distant future. And it's so cool to see you here, Dan. Love to see you, bro. It's so stoked, man. I hope you're doing well.
He left.
But um, but yeah, the art is like, it's really interesting because it's very much its own thing, but at the same time, it is very much channeling the classics. But
Yeah.
and it has this weird interpretation because it's trying to also include the coloring dynamics of a Frazetta, you know what I mean, with all that soft color on it and
Oh
everything,
yeah. Yeah. I love this middle. This whole page on your side, the page setup is
Mhm.
it's really fantastic. I love it. I love the whole panel setup and everything. And it flows smoothly and it's exciting. And I'm glad, like, I don't think the other pages are set up. There's a lot of different panel setups and stuff like that on your side, or actually the whole book. But I really love the panel setup on that page.
Yeah, he's doing some amazing work. And just to answer your question real quick, GTO, it looks a little bit like old school Thor because old school Thor is based on Norse mythology.
Yeah.
And Robert E. Howard is also, the Conan universe takes place in a pseudo version of Norse mythology. Now, it's not the exact same thing, but it is very influenced by the pantheon of
Yeah.
Viking
And
gods.
in this story, Conan is in the north. He comes from Samaria and he goes north, which is, Samaria is like, I don't know, upper United States or whatever, but then the north is like upper Canada. And so he goes there, but this is so influenced by the Norse mythology. They're actually called Asgardians. That's one of the race of the people. And they talk about the different Asgardian gods and stuff like that.
But hey, no worries, Dan. And we love to see you here, dude. And thank you for giving us a shout out on the live show. Everybody out there who's like listening and might catch this video later, please throw us a like and a follow if you like what you see. It really helps us out a lot. And watch this video to the very end. It helps us press the algorithm to put it out to other people that like this kind of stuff. All right, let's go and do a page turn because this next page is stunning.
Yeah. So basically, like we were saying in the storyline, is that the Asgard and the Aesir are two different tribes or types of people, and Conan has hooked up with the Aesir. That's right, right?
Yeah.
And they have this battle, and he's the only one to survive the battle. And in the original story, I think you're right, he's the only one to survive. But in this story, there's an Asgardian that survives. So they have this one last fight, and then he kills the Asgardian, and it kind of goes on from there.
But see, like what they're doing here is like I said, I want to say that's like an extra sort of preface by the guy that's writing this. I think it's Kurt Busiek. And because this right here, what you're seeing right here, this is where the novel actually begins. This is how the novel actually begins. He's just finished a battle. The battlefield is empty, and Conan is the only survivor.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what we're seeing.
Blood
here.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing on this page, and it's really gorgeous. I mean, let's just throw it out for these soft, beautiful, sweeping colors. Going across these two pages, and this beautiful little Conan up here in your side, you know what I mean, with the sword in his right hand, yes, that one right there.
Yeah,
just
super
gorgeous. Super Frazetta, exactly. And this just big sweeping, panel across, and this, we have this, tiny little Conan way over here, in the battlefield, just Crom, classic Robert E. Howard, man. Super cool.
Yeah, definitely awesome. It's got such a you've got all of these cold blue colors, blue and white colors just surrounding this sea of red, and this one lone Conan figure kind of just living through the terrible event that he just went through.
Yeah, just that's a really gorgeous page, and the
Yeah,
colorist is really going for it
yeah,
because all that has got to be empty. You know, what I mean, all that sky's got to be empty.
yeah,
There's like even these. There's no black spotted in these things, so these are probably just big shapes with X's on them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. One of the things is the colors. Actually, this whole book gives me a real feel of Electra Lives. Do you ever read that graphic novel?
I have gone over it once. I think I have it, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't say I've
With
spent too much.
Lynn Varley. Lynn Varley
Yeah,
does the colors, and I just don't know if that's painted and this is digital, but it's got such a similar look.
I think Lynn Varley works in watercolor, doesn't she?
It's some kind of gouache because she does use the white, so it's either
Hmm.
some sort of acrylic or something like
But
that. Because you
this
can
has got to
tell
all be digital.
the
Like I'm
brush stains. This is definitely all digital, but he's using a brush that see, that's one of the things. I know you often talk about the digital coloring or digital art and stuff. And do you think it's less meaningful if it's a digital artist using a digital brush because you're not getting like a real person's brush strokes?
You're not getting the real variation of a real brushstroke. Yeah.
Right. You're
Well,
just getting a computer brushstroke.
I think it's like I spoke about last time. It's all about the person's talent and what they, how much they put into their digital work. Because like there's some guys out there. Thank you, GTO. We
Mhm.
appreciate that, bro.
We
But there's
try.
some guys out there that really, they create hundreds of different brushes themselves, for that
Yeah.
exact purpose. You know what I mean? And Boland's like that. I want to say Jorge Jimenez is like that. There's a lot of dudes out there that got that talent level and they can do it. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
anyone can do it, but I don't think everyone is aware of it. I think it takes time for people to come up, around to the visual of acuity of realizing how it can diminish your work, but I'm not trying to knock anyone that does this stuff because everything takes time. And
Yeah.
I do believe that a person who is willing to, um, Dan,
Well,
my
Daniel, are
buddy
you a
Dan,
digital artist?
Dan does work mostly digitally, but Dan is
Yep.
he's a good example of exactly what I'm talking about. Now, there's not very many people out there that can if you go to Dan's Instagram and look at his stuff, and I recommend everybody do, and it's Doghouse on Instagram, you're going to see because he puts up all his roughs, which are done in real pencil with a real
Right.
hand. And
Yep.
then he goes over them very carefully with his digital brushes. And he gets
Yep.
wonderful variation. And he has a very specific style that he's trying to create. And it's wonderful. But so many people out there are throwing that same brush line on the same pieces again and again and again. And yeah, man. Dan, are you telling me that you don't do your roughs as pencil? Those roughs are all done in digital as well? Let me know
They
down here,
just
bro.
they
I'd be
just look
fascinated because
digital,
I
or they
always thought
look.
the roughs were done on pencil, like on a real Bristol or something like that first, because they look like they are. And if you're not, man, hats off to you, dude, because you must be going in there, I guess, and stylistically like drawing them first or something, I guess. Let us know down here. I'd love to know, Dan. This is a perfect time for me to pick the mind of a digital creator because I am an all analog guy. And
Yeah.
Dan is throwing down the gauntlet telling me he's all digital. And his
I
work
don't
is
think.
really great. And
Yeah,
if it is,
I don't think either of us are anti-digital or anti or pro. I mean, you can feel like that as a process guy, but when you've got a final product and it looks good and it's really great, then what does it really matter?
yeah, I agree. Oh, that's so funny, Dan. Wow, that's so cool. That's awesome. No, me and Dan, we owe each other a pinup.
Yeah.
uh, I owe Dan a pinup, and he owes me a pinup. And we've both been so busy, neither of us have gotten to it yet. But I told him that he had to do my pinup all analog with no digital. So he was like, "It'll be the first non-digital work I've done in 20 years."
Does that mean you have to do digital?
Heck no, I'm not doing that.
Fair is fair.
There you go, you're good. Yeah, no worries, man. It's, I don't think I could though, to be perfectly honest. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to get digital for me, you would get something that looked like a Pong video or something from the 1970s, like two
All right,
colored squares, you know.
let's switch to the next page.
Okay, let's do a page turn here. All right. Well, I'm on ad, so I guess you're on that side all your
Ad time.
But
You're looking at
we,
Babylon 5, which is not
dude,
really
like
one of my
I always
favorites.
loved the ads and comic books from the 90s. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong with that stuff.
Yeah, me
But
too. But I was reading, I can't remember what I was reading today or yesterday, something where the ad really broke the reading experience. And that's really kind of too bad when you're really into something and then like an ad pops up. I know it's like a meaningless thing to go over whatever, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you're really into something, especially if it's like a tense emotional moment or something like that, and then an ad pops up and that kind of sucks.
but sometimes like that prolongs the you know the moment or whatever. Like I miss that about old comics, you know, is
Yeah,
like
that's
the
true.
ads and the you know what I mean? You're right when you're about to destroy Galactus, you turn the page and it's a ad for Hostess fruit pies or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this page
Dan,
is just
real
basically
quick,
Conan. What's that?
real quick, I just want to shout out to Dan and just say, dude, like your work, sometimes it's very in this, like, I can't tell that it's digital from traditional. And honestly, that's like right where every like digital guy should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
you're
definitely.
bringing the juice to the point to where when you look at it and you can't honestly tell immediately which fashion it is. And that's always like a high watermark. So no worries from you, bro. You're doing freaking wonderful stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Like I just wanted to touch base with Dan because he's nice enough
Cool.
to be out here and he's sharing his
Cool.
time with us, and I want to make
Yeah,
sure we
definitely.
share our
That's
time
awesome.
back with him. All
Yeah.
right, now let's
Oh
turn
yeah,
the page.
definitely.
So now you got to add, and I got the real shot here.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. My page is we want to keep going on with the story where Conan it just kind of passes out from being being exhausted from the battle, and then he wakes up to this laughing female laughing, and then it goes to
Yeah, and
you.
it's funny because all this is like in like probably the first paragraph of the book. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all this happens pretty fast. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But he's making it pretty dramatic here. Look at that great Hellboy ad, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. 25 cents.
It's like what? That would have been cool back in the day. I
Yeah.
remember when comics were 25 cents, man. I'm old.
I know.
I
Me
remember when
too.
they were a dime. When I first
Yeah.
started collecting, they were a dime. And then I remember when
That's
they went to
crazy.
a quarter. And then I remember
Yeah.
when they went to 35 cents, you know.
Yeah.
But
I remember feeling gypped every time they raised the price. I'm like, what? It's
honestly,
$1
I,
now? That's bullcrap.
I never really felt bad about it. You know, even when Image went up to buck something or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I was still down.
Yeah.
But man, that's a gorgeous shot right there. And I love the way the
Oh yeah.
pencils like flirt out here at the bottom of the legs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Here I want to show my side too because I want to talk about a few things.
GTO, what the hell, bro? We're all super old over here. No, like I'm actually like only like 13 years old. I just like have a very long memory.
But this you can tell the it's either that's what I'm saying. It's either digital and that he's using the pencil colored pencil look, which I don't know
Well,
how you would get that.
I think this is the artist. You know, okay. I think that's the pencils. You know, he has done all this in the
Could be.
pencils, and they're subtly keeping it and just dusting color on top of it. You know what I mean? Or they're
That could
using the
be.
values on the computer to change the color of the pencil to the color they're looking for.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know what I mean?
Daniel, if you've got any insights into the digital coloring or digital works, I would really love to pick your
Yeah,
brain with
because
it.
like the Conan right here, he's just a big empty spot or whatever.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
it
Like,
looks so watercolors. You've got these
yeah, but when you look
watercolors
in there,
stained here.
you could see the pencil shading. You could see how he went
Yep.
in and pencil shaded it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You could still see the pencil shading, and that's
Yep.
got to be from the original pencils. You know what I mean?
It could be, but I don't know because Jake Quirk, when he colors stuff, he'll change the colors often of the black and white ink on into some kind of other color. So I don't know.
Just beautiful, like value back here in the snow and stuff, and all these pink in the clouds. He's just really bringing it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably digital lettering too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The lettering is. But here's one
Well,
thing in particular.
sadly, well, no, I guess all the narration is digital, but it looks like all of the. Let me see. Does it have a letter? Let me see real fast.
Yeah. But one of the amazing things on this page is this pose right here where she's looking up. Anybody who's tried to draw or paint or anything of a character looking up kind of feels the pain of how hard it is. And because you can't do that jawline or that chin line, if you do it too much, then it ruins it. If you do too little, you can't tell what it is. But that right there in the whole position of her face looking upward is fantastic.
And all honestly, dude, like I'm pretty good at that one. Like that's
Yeah.
not that hard for me. Like
It,
Jim Lee
it
kind
is
of
for
broke
me.
that down on a video. Like if you ever watch Jim Lee's RZA videos, do you ever watch those?
No.
Oh, dude, you should sit and spend Alex. If you haven't sat and spent 5 hours watching Jim Lee draw a picture, you probably should.
Oh, I've seen him draw a few things, just not
Yeah, it's
a lot of
stunning,
stuff.
dude.
Yeah.
Have you sat and watched his long videos where he draws for like 3 or 4 hours, dude? Like,
I've watched one of them. I should watch some
oh
more.
man, dude. Like I've watched a couple of those. I've seen him work on a page for 2 hours and then erase the entire thing, dude. Like it just started over. He's wild, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he
He's
breaks
awesome.
everything down into these like mathematic sort of algorithms. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
has a really succinct way of making people kind of understand. Like he'll break doing this down into the planes. You know what I mean? How he'll be like, oh, it's this shape on this shape on this shape on this shape, like three
Right.
C's being stacked on top of each other or whatever. You know what I mean? And he'll
Yeah.
break it down for you in a very comprehensive way. And it really helps, man. He's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll definitely be going over him, going head to head. I don't know maybe him and McFarlane or something.
Somebody good. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe him and like
yeah.
Jeff Darrow or something, like
Yeah, yeah, that would be a tough one. See, that's the thing that's the great thing about us doing our artist comparison is that somebody wins and then they go against somebody else who wins, and eventually you've got two amazingly crazy good artists that it's almost impossible to say who you like better.
oh, for sure. I know it really is, and they're all so good. So it's
Yeah.
really meaningless. It's just our love of the medium and how much
Oh
we
yeah,
adore it
yeah,
or whatever. But no,
yeah,
you're right,
definitely.
Dan. That stuff. This guy's blowing doors. I mean, and like I was saying, like he's just delivering some like a very modern take on the Buscema idea, but definitely leaving his own interpretation, man. And it's super cool when you see like this is like something really great because what we're seeing is the marriage of digital and analog
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
level of creation and beauty that you could like take it to when the mediums aren't, what I mean? Because anyone could do one or the other, but when you're very adept at doing all the things that can elevate your work can become very elevated.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Hey, I have a question for you though. Would you have preferred this to be or any Conan or sword sorcery thing? Do you prefer black and white or color?
Well, I don't know that I have a preference for one or the other. Comics always tend to look alive in color, but then
Yeah,
like when you see them in black and white, there's a certain kind of like core beauty to it that can't really be, you know what I mean? That is like
yeah, yeah,
untouchable. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
Stephen Platt's stuff looks gorgeous colored, and it
yeah,
also looks gorgeous in black and white. Todd McFarlane's art looks gorgeous colored, but it also
yeah.
looks gorgeous in black and white. Daniel Goodwin's art looks gorgeous colored, but it also looks amazing in black and white. Alex Turbin's work also looks gorgeous colored, but it also looks amazing in
Yeah,
black and white as
yeah.
well.
Before the show, we were talking about different comics and stuff, and we were talking about the essentials, and these being black and white. See, here's the thing: I love these black and white images of the X-Men and stuff, but they don't compare to the original color versions. I would much rather prefer the original colors.
Well, what the color really does, I mean, the black and white allows you to really see the art in amazing and meaningful ways. Give it a
Matt.
go ahead and
Matt
get
says he's
where.
watching this in grayscale.
Nice. um, go give me a couple page turns and get to where I'm at here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk story though. We're kind of glossing over the story here.
Well, the story is Conan meets this maiden out in the wilderness.
Right,
He becomes befuddled by her beauty and then wants to rape her and then chases her down through the woods or whatever. But I want to focus more on the art, like
right. But we also we do have story, and she does. I mean, they do talk about whether he's, because at first he thinks that she's Asgardian, and then he goes into quite a bit of details showing her hair on not on the page, on the previous page that you have, where it goes in quite into detail about her hair and how it's golden and not really.
I think, doesn't he think
not
she's
really
like
red?
So he thinks she's a Valkyrie at first, right? Like to come and claim him because he's dead.
Right. So I mean, there's a lot of story going on that is, yes, it is basic stuff, and that's that's Robert E. Howard to a T. Where the story, yes, it's a little bit simple, but there's still a lot going on, symbolic wise, and stuff like that.
For sure. With Robert E. Howard, it doesn't really it could be he could be giving you almost no story at all, but it'll still be amazing because he writes profoundly.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that there is not that much taking place in the story is not nearly as important as reading that man's writing. It's like The Old Man and the Sea. Not that much stuff happens in it, but the writing is profound, and so it's beautiful.
Right.
But we have this cool little story. I mean, Conan is chasing down this maiden that he thinks is a natural woman, and in this story, as the reader, we do too. You're not really aware that she's a supernatural thing, other than that she has this strange glamour about her or whatever. But I'm sorry, you guys out there, I'm like focusing on the art on this stuff. Maybe I should be like.
Well, do you think she's supposed to be symbolic of anything?
I honestly couldn't say. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I never really. I'm like Conan, man. I don't think that much into things. I just fight.
Conan is in the beginning. He's at the brink of death, and he wakes up. So maybe he feels like he's headed to death, and she's, like you said, a Valkyrie or an angel or something. And so I just kind of think that's adds to the story of the mystery and stuff.
It's a bizarre thing. I mean, it's beautifully. I mean, it's written cool, but it is. It's weird. I mean, Conan is on the verge of death, literally, after fighting this fight. But he's so, and she's putting a spell on him, obviously, or whatever. He's so enwrapped with her that he follows her 10 miles through the snow or whatever.
Yeah.
The far off, icy wilderness. You know what I mean? And it's like a trap that she's been laying for men for hundreds of years or whatever. But I think it's there to also drive in the point of Conan's character being like an indomitable force of nature almost or whatever.
Right.
He chases her down, and we can see the shot here, where they're just two little dots in this empty tundra, and he just chasing her down because he wants to have sex with her so bad or whatever. But that's an old 30s premise, you know what I mean? And he's gonna have to be taught a lesson here for freaking his greed, which is about what's gonna happen here.
Hey, have you ever heard the theory that Conan is actually either the son of Crom or the god, not the other character, but he's either the son of Crom or Crom himself?
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't really, like I said, I'm like Conan. I don't ponder those things very much.
It's quite a theory that has been going around, I guess.
I fight Alex and I slay, and I leave the pondering of realities for other men. But here's this great shot. And what it is she's been luring men out into the, the icy wilderness for forever. And when she leads the men out there, her two frost giant brothers, because she is a mythological Asgardian creature, and she has two brothers that are giant frost creature giants, and they slay and eat men.
Yeah. And I think that this is when Conan realizes that she's not a Valkyrie or anything supernatural. She's just another being trying to screw him over, just like every other being in his world has been trying to screw him over.
Oh yeah, and there's no Robert E. Howard story where something isn't trying to kill Conan.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why he's a barbarian and not civilized.
Yeah, and well, all the rigmarole around like his ideologies of civilization, like about how
Yeah,
like civilization can't stand for forever. Like it has to always and fall back to the natural state, and the natural state is what is real, and civilization is a fake dichotomy created by people or whatever.
right, right, right. Yeah,
I
so he's
love
always
the
going against that.
yeah, like Conan's always like, oh, you guys call yourself civilized, but you have warehouses full of food where people walk around them and starve to death.
Right,
And he
yeah,
goes,
yeah,
I broke into the warehouse and took food and fed the hungry people, and then you guys arrested me, and you call yourself civilized men.
right, yeah, right. Yeah, I love this page. This is a great page. I often it's almost a splash page. It's not quite a splash page. I think we should dedicate a whole show actually to splash pages, and because I don't like to have a lot of splash pages in my books, and I really feel like to have a splash page, it should be something special.
And that's so funny because I'm like sitting on the other side of the scale. I have flash pages in every single thing I do. Like you have to have a
Right,
splash
right.
page. Like I don't think I ever draw an 8-page or a 6 or a 3. I could draw a 3-page story and it'll have a 2-page splash in one of them.
Yeah, yeah. You
I
don't
can't
you
not
don't think
do
that
them.
it should be like a special thing?
Well, it should be a special thing, and that's what I try to do is put it in
Right,
everything and make
right,
it a special
right. No,
thing.
story wise.
I'm a
Obviously art wise, it's gonna
you
look
know
amazing,
I'm
especially
like
when you're doing it.
there's like a part of me, my heart that beats Michael Bay. You know what I mean? I'm just like the
Yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Bay.
I hear you.
I just always want to have so much flash and so much like not that much substance. You know what I mean? Like sadly,
Have you ever? You said you read a lot of the Walt Simonson store. Do you have the issue 400? I think it's 400. The final issue that Walt Simonson did on his run.
I honestly am not like
It's
super aware of it like that, so I couldn't say.
every page. It's only
Oh, I
splash
think I do.
pages.
I think I do have the splash page book, the one where he's
Yeah,
fighting the dragon or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
we
I
should
have
go
that.
over that. Yeah, we should go
Yeah,
over that. That's because
I-
I was thinking about doing that anyway, but yeah,
let's go to the do a page turn. Ooh, I love that
that's
one right
amazing
there.
color.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
amazing color.
It's just that's a beautiful shot. Just the layout of it and everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it all just makes. And then the one right here, the one on the one right next to it on the bottom on the right hand. You know
Here.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Yes, dude. I love the Conan in that shot.
yeah, yeah,
He's just
definitely.
like a he's
Although,
just like a real scratchy gesture almost. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I wonder how much you think they have Frank Frazetta paintings like all over their rooms while they're doing this book.
I don't know, but you would think so, right? Like, I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it screams Frank Frazetta.
It really does. It really, really does. Sadly, we're coming up to the end of our time here, and we can't spend too much more time on this, but I just want to take a look at all these
Look at
pages
that.
before
That's
we
great.
jump away. You know what I mean? And it's just like you said. There's so much, and this has that great comic strip was the inspiration for your most recent Random Access.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is when I first started thinking about doing the H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard as the characters in the book. I mean, that's basically what they did here. I don't know where they just made up these stories because they can't be real. I mean, they might be in their books or whatever. But have you
You
ever
never
read
know.
have you ever read their books?
I haven't. I
They
haven't.
It's super dry, it's very boring. Really. Just talking like
Well,
there's one part where they're talking about street cops and not street cops, but like police at intersections because back in the day they had instead of lights or whatever they had cops directing correct traffic and stuff. So they go on
sure.
and on for like pages and pages about talking about the cops directing traffic and whether or not they're um, they should be doing that or whatever.
Well, sadly, a lot of people can write, but not everybody writes well.
Yeah, Yeah, that's true. I mean,
That to me,
they're great writers, but their letters aren't, they're not for entertainment value. They're
right,
just,
right.
them talking to each other.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, I see. I see.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well,
Yeah.
like, I guess we can't expect too much when two guys are just like shooting the breeze with each other or whatever. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. That's pretty much what it is.
But man, oh man, some of these are so gorgeous, dude. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
just really beautiful. And yeah, I guess
Hey,
we'll have to end it on that.
we talk about the whether or not black and white, whether or not you like black and white or color, and there's certainly a lot to be said for a black and white version. But I think that this book, in particular, would lose a lot of its luster if the color was gone, color was missing.
Well, yeah, and especially, I mean, I don't think you could do it without it being inked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it would have the same It's beautiful pencils. I don't doubt at all that it's not beautiful pencil. I mean, this is gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. The pencils are so strong that they didn't even need to ink them. They just changed the values on the computer and then painted right on top of them, which I am kind of interested in trying. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I want to mess around with that. I'm trying to get, some sort of little stylus or something like that I could use on my computer, to try and play around with doing some digital coloring. And I'm fascinated with the idea of trying to color on top of pencils, because I personally, I keep all my pencils when I'm doing like Six Lords of Sound. I pencil the entire page, then I do a blue line, so that if I make a mistake, I can try again. Now, I don't always do that. Like the Crom pages I'm working on right now are, inked directly on top of the pencil, but you can only take the pencil so far like that. You know what I mean? Because if you take it to a full pencil, then you're fighting it when you ink, and your ink can become really sloppy because it's fighting the graphite for traction.
Yeah.
So I personally, like I have like all 36 pages of pencils from, Six Lords of Sound.
Right.
So if I wanted to experiment with trying to color on top of the pencils, I have them still,
Yeah. 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 So you want to wrap this up?
I guess that's about it for this one, you guys. Let us know what you thought. I thought this was a pretty fun video, and I have to say that Kurt Busiek, Carrie Nord, Dave Stewart, Richard Starking's letters are beautiful. Like, I thought the lettering on this, was really actually very cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked how they keep the narrative in like old timey typewriter. You know what I mean? Which
like
is what, and it's like literally like really emulating, the old timey like typewriter font, because that's what Robert E. Howard was writing these on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So you have like
It's
Robert
amazing.
E. Howard writing, and then you have the actual Conan dialogue, and then that's all hand lettered and just absolutely gorgeous. So super fun book to look at. Really amazing work by these guys. Top notch, hats off creators, I'd say. And before we go, I'd just like to say I'm Joe Leonardo, and I am the creator of Six Lords of Sound. And Six Lords of Sound is super heavy metal, superhero character musicians in space. And they have all kinds of super interesting adventures where they use heavy metal to battle the forces of evil. And if that sounds like something you might be interested in, be sure to direct message me on my Instagram at Awfully World on Instagram, all one word, AWFULLYWORLD. Go ahead, Alex.
And I'm Alex Turbin, and I produce a comic book called Random Access every month. You can get these at patreon.com/Alex Turbin or Alexander Turbin. And you get 12 pages of full-size, full-color comic book every month just for $3 a month. And I usually have backups by other people. And this is the latest one, Random Access number 28. Was colored by Jay Quirk. This is actually his cover. He did the cover for this, and he also did the interior colors and edits. He did a few editing with the lettering and stuff like that. And this is Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft as the main characters trying to resurrect their favorite writer, Edgar Allan Poe. It also has some sneak peeks into some other work that I'm working on and stuff like that. So yeah, you can get this Patreon, like I said, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and
Hey,
check all
what
kinds of
is that
stuff like that.
amazing looking piece down underneath your comic there, man? Like, what was that?
And that is what you and I and a bunch of other artists are working on. Here's just a little sneak peek. I don't know if we're ready to start showing more of the stuff, but it's the Entropy Alliance, and that'll be coming out shortly. And so look for it. And here's the full wraparound cover.
Man, look at that, you guys, dude. That's what's coming down the pipeline, you guys. Entropy Alliance, #1. Handful of awesome underground artists doing their best imitation of like the classic DC End of the World storyline. It's going to be a blast. You guys are going to be stoked when that one comes out.
Yep, yep.
All
And
right.
this is
Well,
again colored by Jay Quirk.
stunning work. Stunning work.
Done.
And then
Yep.
Jake and I and Alex did the logo together. And then obviously the pencils and inks are by me. And yeah, man, super awesome. This is going to blow everybody's doors off when it comes out.
I think
And
so.
super cool to be here with you guys today. Me and Alex always have a blast. This is Comic Books from Coast to Coast with East Coast Alex out there in Maine and West Coast Joe out here in California. And at the end, Alex always gives them our little bit at the end. And go ahead and give it to them now, Alex.
Thanks for watching and have a great weekend. And as always, keep on creating.